Now, when it comes to developing the right mindset, I'm going to first tell you what not to do. And these are going to be very common mistakes that people make when they're first starting out in their negotiation career. The first mistake that most negotiators make is that they're not prepared for surprises. And a lot of times these surprises can really throw people off and can lead them to bad relationships and eventually getting the worst possible deal. The second thing that most negotiators overlook is that they make too many assumptions that do not have any support. I'm going to put myself in this bucket as well. We may make assumptions that may not necessarily be true and may not be supported by data. And because of this, it can really hinder our ability to really recognize what a situation actually is. So these are the two main mistakes that most novice negotiators make. And now that you know them, it's easier for you to avoid as we move forward. So I'm going to give you a personal example of how I've made these mistakes myself. Back when I was working in Silicon Valley, I remember I was trying to sell to a fairly successful company, and I've been working on this deal with their marketing team for a whole 2 months. We would talk constantly almost every week on the phone to make sure everybody was on the same page. They said our pricing was good, our product was good, they liked us, and it seemed everything was fine. It was going to be a very big deal for me and the company. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. Now, 2 months in, I put in so much time, hours and hours of my time to make this deal work. And at the very end, I remember I got a phone call from one of the marketing guys, and he said, "Patrick, look, we really like you and you have a good product and blah, 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 but I'm afraid we're not going to go through with the deal with you." And I was just on the phone, I didn't really know what to say. What? That was very unexpected. The person further explained that it was because one of their past clients that they worked with, who I was competing against, they just offered a significantly lower price than we offered. And I wasn't prepared for that, nor was anybody on my team. And that company that I spent 2 months trying to convince to buy our product ended up going with our competitor, who was their past client, for a much lower price. And the deal was just done. And no matter what I tried to say, even if I tried to change my price, on their end, the deal was done. It's a signed deal, and it was pretty much over. Now, in this situation, I made the assumption for the last 2 months during this deal that no competitor would come in and take the deal away. I thought that because I was spending so much time, this team was spending so much time with me, how could they possibly have time to go and shop around? But then I should have asked the right questions to make sure that I knew who they were talking to, and if it was going to be someone who was a past competitor, I needed to do a better job in convincing them to go with my product versus their competitor. But because I made the assumption, I lost the deal. And, it was a big learning lesson in never making assumptions. And in the positive note, I got to tell you, even though I lost the deal, it was a really great lesson, because it's only through pain that you really learn how to grow and learn from it. And so with that, all the deals that I did after that, I made sure that I was prepared for these surprises, and it led me to a lot of future success. So sometimes you lose now, but then in the future, it's an opportunity to grow. And one of the main lessons that I learned from this entire experience is that a good negotiator prepares to be ready for possible surprises, but a great negotiator uses their skills to uncover surprises they are certain to find. And that's a powerful lesson, because it's not only about being ready for these surprises when they come, it's actually actively looking for these surprises and diffusing the bomb before it actually blows up. So you don't want to deal with problems when they happen. You want to find them before they happen, diffuse them, so that you could have more influence over negotiations and do whatever it is that you're trying to do. And to find these surprises, what's very important for all negotiators is to have a discovery mindset. What a discovery mindset is all about is, instead of making assumptions on what you believe is true, you want to think of every viewpoint that you have as a hypothesis, meaning that it's a perspective that you have, but you have to prove it with actual data and evidence, and not see it as an assumption, but have these ideas and then make them concrete. And this is because every little piece of information that you find in a negotiation does have the potential to really change the game. And so rather than making assumptions and making mistakes, have a hypothesis discovery mindset, have a viewpoint of what you believe you think is right, go in, discover what's really going on, and get that data to support your hypothesis and actually make it something that's tangible and real. And why this is really powerful is because when you're in a negotiation, a lot of times people have this mindset of that it's one side versus the other, and it's like a battle of strength and wit and whatever. But in reality, the real successful negotiators are the ones that have discovery mindset. They're not trying to battle anyone. They're not trying to fight anybody. What they're trying to do instead is trying to learn as much as possible, collect as much information possible. Then they can make an educated decision on what to do. And that's going to give them so much more leverage and influence in a negotiation. And with a discovery mindset, there are three main elements that you need to uncover. The first one is you want to discover what your counterpart, and what I mean by counterpart is the other person that you are dealing with or the other party you're dealing with. You want to discover what they care about emotionally. Sometimes people are very prideful, or maybe they care about a certain thing, or they have certain morals. And so you have to understand emotionally what's important to them. After that, you have to understand monetarily what exactly do they want? What's the tangible thing that you are negotiating? And finally, to get this information, it's very important is that you build trust between your counterpart, because by building trust, you're going to be able to get all this information out for them, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to tell you anything, especially the things that are most important to them. But if you are able to build trust, which I'm going to show you how to do in the rest of this course, you're going to be able to first do that, collect all the information and understand what they want emotionally and monetarily, and not have to make any assumptions, because they're going to tell you exactly what it is. And the last piece of advice for you I have when it comes to having a negotiator's mindset is the importance of having a team. So in the movie Inside Man, if you guys are familiar with it, it's basically a movie about a hostage negotiation, and you'll find that when the police are set up outside in a truck across the street from the bank robbery and hostage situation, they have literally 5 people inside the van, all listening to the same conversation with the hostage and the FBI negotiator. And that the reason is because in the hostage negotiation, everybody's listening, analyzing, and giving feedback to each other, and feeding it to the person who's actually doing the talking. And this is important because whenever we're talking to somebody, we often unconsciously fall into selective listening, meaning we're only going to hear what we want to hear. But by having a team and having a lot of people listening to your conversations, you're going to be able to get different perspectives on the situation so that you can accurately view what's actually happening. So if you're in a negotiation situation, it does help to have more people there who are on your side. If they can't physically be there, relay that information to them and get their perspective. And so with that, that's everything that we have to cover when it comes to having a negotiator's mindset. And remember, having the right mindset is the most important part of being successful in negotiations, because for the rest of the course, what we're going to show you is all the strategies and tactics that you can use and execute on to actually make these things happen. But it all starts with the mindset. So remember, having the right attitude and having the right mindset is key.